everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. Welcome back to my video on the houseplants that I have. I hope you enjoyed part one. If you didn't see that, we'll go ahead and link to it right now so you can take a look at that one before you join us for this. This is part two. We have a lot more plants to show you, and I hope you see something that you like. All right, let's take a look. So this is one of the most wonderful areas in my house for houseplants because I get some sunlight from the southern window, and this is a sliding glass door area. So it probably gets some of the most sunlight in my house, and it's nice and warm. And it's just a beautiful way for me to use my grandma's old tea cart to be able to display some plants. And she loved gardening, so I'm super happy to be able to use it for something that she would just love. So if we take a little bit of a closer look at some of the plants that I have on the stand here, the first one that I want to show you is called Pilea peperomioides. And if you watch part one, this is part two, and I showed you a baby Pilea peperomioides, which is called the friendship plant, and this is the mother plant. So you can tell this one's a lot bigger, and you can see a baby peeking out from the left side there as well. Also, I have a peperomia graveolens rosa right here. I just clipped the tops off of it because it was getting a little spindly, so that will help to bush it out a little bit. This one here is a philodendron Prince of Orange, and you can tell by the orange coloring on the new leaves that come out, which is so beautiful and colorful. Behind that one, I have a Ripsalis, and this one is so cool. It is also called the coral cactus because it looks a bit like coral that you see under the sea. But when you look really closely, you can see little tiny hairs that are on it. They might be little spines, but I think it's just so cool. In front of that, I have a very small Peperomia quadriangularis. This one is also called the peperomia beetle. I think because of the stripes on it look a little like a beetle's back. And that's the baby that I took from this mother plant in the back here. So you can see that it's somewhat of a vining plant as it grows, and you can cut the leaves. And so I just cut the leaves off and propagate them in the soil. It does take a while. It's a fairly slow growing plant, but it's very easy care. It is a succulent, so it doesn't need a lot of water. Up here, I'm so excited that my philodendron birkin is beginning to get bigger because you can start to see the variegation on leaves better as the plant gets larger. So you can see that back leaf has some of that really cool striping, which is just incredibly striking. The leaves are very shiny, and it's just a beautiful plant to have. So I'm excited to see the new growth on that. And then this is a little baby that I have. I believe it's an agave cactus, and it was so tiny when I took it off of the mother, but it seems to be very happy and growing rapidly at this point. And next to that, I have an I cannot remember the rest of it, but it's a cactus. And if you look at it from the top, it's really cool because it looks like a star. And so some people call it a star cactus, and it has some pretty polka dots on it. Behind that is the string of pearls, which is a succulent plant. And the string of pearls is fairly easy care. It's called Senecio rowilanus, and it is easy to propagate as well if you just cut the vines off of it. It looks more to me like a string of peas, but it's oftentimes called the string of pearls. And behind that one, I have a Hoya carnosa compacta, and that is the Hindu rope version. I really love this plant. It is super slow to grow, especially after you transplant it. It takes a while for the roots to get used to its soil. But I just love the way that it curls, and it's really starting to take off now after about a year of being in the same pot. So the roots, I think, are finally settled in and it's enjoying its space. Next to it, I have also another Hoya Hindu rope that is the variegated version. I think I like the non-variegated version better, but I have less of the variegated version here. And I've seen it when it is en masse and it looks gorgeous. So I'm hoping as it gets longer that I may be able to propagate it, but I also may get some additional vines to add to that plant. In this beautiful vase that I have back here, I have a gasteria plant. And the gasteria is a succulent, so it's a very easy care. I just thought it was a fun way to dress it up. It kind of looks like it looked more like a mohawk when I first bought the plant, but now it's just definitely a spiky hairdo. And the way it grows is really cool. You can pull the little babies off. You can see the different babies growing in there and separate them from the mother if you want more plants. But the contrast of the little speckles on it are just gorgeous. I love that one. It's super striking against some of the larger leaf plants next to it. So next to it is the philodendron rojo Congo, and it's named that I think primarily because it has a very deep red tint to the stalks on the leaves as well as the new leaves when they first come out, and then they deepen to more of a green. And you can see a little bit of the red around the rims of the leaves as well sticks with them as they get older. And then next to that, I have a syngonium. Syngoniums are very easy care, so I recommend those definitely for beginners. And they start out fairly bushy, but over time they will begin to turn into a vining plant. So be prepared for them to start to vine over the sides of any container you have them in. Another vining plant is this philodendron Rio Brazil. I love the colors on it. You can see some speckling on the leaves. When I first bought this, I ordered it during the winter time and it came in the mail, and so it had some damage from the cold. But it is just a very vigorous and easy grower. I highly recommend this one for beginners. It's easily propagated. I recently did a video on that if you want to watch that as well. And here is a favorite of many people. You see it a lot on Instagram. It's a monstera deliciosa, and it's gotten much bigger over time. It's quite a rapid grower, so be prepared for it to take over space. As you grow it over time, the heart-shaped leaves will get larger and they will begin to have what's called fenestration. And it's really gorgeous as they start to break up. And so they start to sort of fan out with splits in the leaves and little holes in them. It's gorgeous. So in my workroom, I also have a ton of plants, which I love because I'm working from home right now. And this is a Sansevieria moonshine. They did rename the Sansevieria family in, I think, 2017 to the Dracaena family. So it's Dracaena moonshine, but just a gorgeous color. Next to that, I have also a Dracaena, and you can see the difference in appearance between these two. It's quite amazing how they can both be called Dracaenas, but still be so different. So this one is called Tropic Snow. And I think that some of these are a little bit more finicky depending on where they're at. They may be an understory plant in the tropics, and so I don't think they like direct sunlight. They seem to like indirect but highlight. Another theme you'll hear today is peperomia because peperomia plants are really easy to grow. They're typically a succulent. And so back here you'll see a peperomia obtusifolia, and this one has some pretty variegation on its leaves. It is a slow grower, the obtusifolia, but it's really easy care. It requires medium light and not a lot of water, so it's a very good plant for beginners. In front of that, there's a different kind of peperomia, and there's so many different kinds that are out there. And this is peperomia cupid, so you can see the leaf shape is very different, and it just has a much different growth habit. Next to this one, I keep a Bonnie spider plant. So this is a curly one. It's a very small baby still, but I love how the leaves when they grow out are very curly. You can see one that's just like a tendril right there. And so I'm excited to see that grow over time and get bigger. So up at the top of this shelf, I do also have some ZZ plants. ZZ is the easy name. It's Zamioculcas zamiifolia. And so a lot of people just call them ZZ plants because it's so much easier. And the one on the left is the dwarf version of the ZZ plant. And then the one on the right is called the ZZ raven. And you can see how that foliage is much darker. It's almost black. And so they're a little bit different, but I really enjoy them both. And in this corner, I have a lot of plants as well on a different shelf on the left at the top there. You see that I have a pothos, which has a little bit of variegation to it. This is like a super entry level plant that a lot of people have. And it's really easy to grow. It's easy to tell when it needs watering. It doesn't need a lot of watering, and it grows in low light, medium light, indirect highlight. You can pretty much grow it anywhere. So I highly recommend that for people who are just starting out on their houseplant journey. Next to that too, one of my favorites, the monstera adansonii. Some people call that one the Swiss cheese plant because it looks like Swiss cheese. On this shelf, I have the umbrella plant on the left, and it's a variegated one. Some of them don't have variegation, and some of them do. This one does. And then in front of that, in the green pot, is another peperomia obtusifolia. And you can see that this one is a much lighter, almost mint green version of it with variegation as well. And so that is great. I like the different contrasting foliage. And next to that one is a Hoya. This one is a Hoya pubicalyx splash. And I love the variegation on the leaves on this one. This is probably one of the easiest Hoya to grow. And it doesn't require a ton of water. It doesn't require a ton of light. It's just quite simple. And several more peperomias there on the left. That's the peperomia silver ripple, which is also easy care. And then down here I have another philodendron, which is a vine. This one's fairly small. It's still starting to grow, and it's a micans. So the philodendron micans. And um, this really doesn't do it justice. I mean, you have to see these in person to really get the beauty of them. I just love the way the new growth comes out in sort of this dark red brown color, and it has an amazing sheen on the leaves that again this just doesn't do it justice when I put it on camera, so it's something that you really need to see in person. And then on that same table here I have an air plant, and air plants are really easy care. If you just set a reminder for yourself once a week, you can pop it out of its container or wherever it is and put it in a glass of water and let it soak for about 20 minutes or so and pop it back out and you're good to go. And so this room has a southern facing window which brings in quite a bit of light, but I wouldn't consider it to be highlight once you're about 10 feet away from it. It's probably more of a moderate light, but when you get up right close, there is one. And I have another monstera adansonii that's hanging in that window, which is also very happy. So you can see how they're very adaptable to different light levels. And those monstera adansonii, they're vining and they really do grow quite easily. So this is just a regular spider plant. and it's getting quite large. I think it's probably getting ready to make some babies, so I'll be excited about that. I love propagating plants. It's so fun to see them get bigger and then make more of them and give them to your friends or family or whatever it is that you want to do with them. And then on the windowsill, because there's so much light here, I do like to grow quite a few different kinds of succulents. This one actually came in a pack, and I haven't done any research to figure out which one this is, but it is a rather slow grower. It's just so cute, though. So I love having these in the window to look at. I got this plant, I think it was at Lowe's, and it was on clearance, and I had no idea what it was because it didn't have a label. And at first, I thought it was a Hoya, like I thought it was a Hoya Bella, but it turns out that I believe this is a Dischidia. The leaves are super soft. They're like almost got a fuzz on them. And then in my son's room, when he started school, he asked for some plants in his room. So I added a Dracaena. This one is a tricolor Dracaena. You can see it's got some pink and some white and some green. So it's got some really nice different pastel colors in it that kind of help brighten up a room. And his room has a south facing window and a west facing window in it. So it definitely gets, I would say, moderate light when you consider how far away from the window the plants actually are. In our bathroom, I have a neon pothos. I love this plant, but it is so slow growing. I mean, when you compare it to other pothos, it just has barely put on any growth in the last year. But I think it's so pretty in the macrame hanging in the window, and I'm excited to see it start to grow and cover up the pot a little bit more and hang down. It's just a very vibrant lime color, and again, very easy care. I have quite a few different Sansevieria, also known as Dracaena now. I just love the Sansevieria name much better than Dracaena. But here we have on the left this is the, let me think here. It's the Dracaena trifasciata, and in the middle I have the starfish. It's a baby, so it hasn't like turned into a star yet, um, but it will. And then I have the golden hanii, which is a baby right there on the left. It's also called a bird's nest because it's very small and it's shaped kind of like a vase, kind of like a bird's nest. And right above that, I have the Aglaonema. And I just love this one because it has such skinny leaves. And again, this is a really easy care plant as well. And just look at the pretty pattern on the leaves. It doesn't require a lot of light. It doesn't require a lot of water. So a really good first plant to start with. And also this Futura superba, which is the Sansevieria Dracaena plant that you see in the white pot here. I just love the thick leaves on that and the way that it kind of twirls as it grows. Kind of grows in a pinwheel. This is another Syngonium, and it needs a little bit of water right now, so just ignore the fact that it's kind of droopy, but it will perk up as soon as I give it a little bit of water. This is the coral or pink illusion Syngonium, and I don't get a lot of light in this room. I have one western window and one northern window, and this plant sits quite a far away from both of those. So if it had more light, it would be even more pink than it is in the camera right now. But I still think it's really pretty, and I like where it's at. I like having a plant there, so I'm going to keep it there, and it will just be a very light pink for me. And last but not least, here I have a pothos in our other small bathroom, which looks so pretty. And I can't wait until it drapes over the sides a little bit more. It's just gonna be so gorgeous. Well, thanks for joining me on my houseplant tour today. I certainly enjoyed having you along. It was fun to take a look at all the different varieties that I have and think about ones that I actually do need to do some clipping on and propagations as well. But it certainly was enjoyable and I appreciate you stopping by. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, like the video, and click the notification bell. That way you'll get notified anytime a new video comes out. Thanks for joining me and have a great day. See you next time. Bye.